Hi everyone, my name is Ariel Long. Used to be Ariel Rebstock, so if you see that on this, that's why. I chose two books for this project like we were supposed to. My scholarly one is the Oxford Handbook of Happiness, and I chose this book because it just covers a really broad subject, it gets into all kinds of different things in this book. It talks about emotional intelligence and positive psychology and the rewards of happiness and the things that can take away your happiness. And I just felt like since it covered such a broad thing and went into so much detail about different things, that any book that I chose for my popular choice would relate to it. So working smarter, not harder, I guess, in that aspect. The second book that I chose, the popular one, is called Ikigai, The Japanese Secret to a Long and Happy Life by Hector Garcia and Francesc Morales. I'm not 100% sure I'm pronouncing the second author's name correctly, but both of these books are really good because they do relate to the quality of life and how happiness relates to that. And how having a good quality of life and being happy can increase the longevity of your life. And the reason that I chose to talk about that in this project is because I deal with a tremendous amount of stress in my life. I have so many different aspects going on, and I feel like I'm being pulled 100 million different ways all the time. So I wanted to see how not having this stress can positively influence your life, because I know that stress is a big factor into different diseases and problems that you can have with your body. And both of these books go into that, and they both go into the what happens if you're not stressed. So I just felt that they related really well. So the first thing that I'm going to do is kind of talk about both of these books separately and then how they tie together. Just so you kind of get a broad overview of what these books are and how they can help you. So Ikigai is a Japanese word, and it means the happiness of keeping busy. And the book goes into all these different interviews and this research that these two authors did on Ikigai, the state of Ikigai. And they mention multiple times you need to find your Ikigai, which is what puts you in that state of flow, which we have discussed in this class. Okay, so flow, as we know, is what we get into when we are like in the zone, is how I always described it. Where you're doing something and you are so focused on it and enjoying it, being in the moment of it, that you don't realize how much time is passing. So, Ikigai is finding that thing that puts you in that state. And they talk about the island of Okinawa. I'm going to have to look that up because I can't remember if that's right. But the island that's in Japan that we actually studied, where it has the oldest living community. And they talk a lot about how they keep busy, they do what they love, they always say hi to people going by, they have a real sense of community, and they just really enjoy each other's company, and they try not to get into any arguments or fights, and just keep a positive outlook on life, essentially. So one of the big things that they say is that you should not stress so much, just be happy, just go with the flow of things, to slow down a bit, because the more you multitask, the more you miss, the more you stress out. And I found that really, really interesting, because in the Oxford Book of Happiness, that's one of the things they talk about, how there are certain mental illnesses that people have that focus a lot on stress, focus a lot on thinking of the past and thinking of the future and not being in the present. And that is why we have such issues when we have these mental illnesses to reach this state of ikigai or have shorter life expectancies, because we are so focused on things that have happened or will happen that we don't stay in the moment. So we are essentially ruining our own qualities of life that way. So now that I've kind of covered what Ikigai is and what this book kind of covers, I want to talk a little bit about the Oxford Handbook of Happiness and some of the things it goes over and how it relates to this other book. So in the Oxford Handbook of Happiness, they give us an overview of happiness and how it's such a complex emotion, and we, have so many different contributing factors that lead to this happiness or not happiness in our lives. And there have been so many books wrote on it throughout history. I'm so sorry, my children are loud. So there's so many books on happiness that have been wrote throughout history, and there's been some research done on it. But it wasn't really thought of as a scholarly pursuit up until pretty recently. And to the point that people, when they wrote books on happiness, they would not use the term happiness in their books. So in the Oxford Book of Happiness, they discuss how emotions help you become motivated and achieve these goals that you have in your lives. And in Ikigai, that was another thing that they had. They had these goals that they put in life. There was one man who was like, I think 88 years old, and he said, I'm going to live to be 100. That's what makes me happy. That's what keeps me going, because I know that I will reach this goal. So he had set this goal, and because he had that goal and focused his life around that, he just knew that he was going to do it, and he was so positive about it, and he kept those positive emotions that it was keeping him going. He was 89 when they interviewed him, I believe, 88 or 89, and he was just absolutely 100% sure that he would make it to 100, which I love that. So relating back to the stress aspect that I was talking about earlier, some of the mental illnesses that you can have that really affect stress are social anxiety, depression, PTSD, schizophrenia, general depression, and bipolar. And the thing about all of these mental illnesses is that you are very, very focused on avoiding triggering these mental illnesses. So you're spending all your time thinking, oh, is this going to trigger me? I need to avoid this situation. Am I going to be able to do this? And less time on this is positive. I can do this. This is my goal. We'll make it there. So a lot of things in Ikigai that they say is that when you set a goal, or you have a very, very complicated task that you have to have done for work or school or just anything in your life, to set smaller goals and work towards those small things. So with these mental illnesses, a good way to cope with that and to create a better quality of life and essentially create more longevity in your life is to set these small goals. Say you have social anxiety, but you have to record a video for school. I don't have social anxiety. I am fine. But if I did, I would set small goals. I would write out exactly what I wanted to cover, what I wanted to say. I would take multiple videos and see, how well I can do and get comfortable with that. And then, that would create a sense of happiness because you're achieving those goals. And that's a big thing with the happiness and the quality of life that is stated in both of these books, that you have to set these goals. You have to focus on the positive, that you need to get that state of flow. So as someone who deals with tremendous amounts of stress and learning about how stress can attack the healthy cells in your body with the pathogens that stress releases, and it's shortening your life in that aspect, causing, it can cause you to have heart attacks and strokes. It can cause you to develop anxiety or depression. It really shows you exactly how living in this fast-paced life, living in this life where you spend all your time trying to multitask, trying to do everything, because that's the kind of world that we live in now, is actually detrimental to your health. And these little country villages out in the middle of nowhere that have this slow paced life, that have this, you know, way of life where they're just simple and they just enjoy it and they do what they love and they stay busy. That's a big thing. They have to stay busy. It helps create a longer life. Now, in the Oxford Book of Happiness, they talk about keeping busy, about challenging yourself, about keeping your mind and your body busy to help create this state of positive emotions. And that's what Ikigai covers too. So both of these books, they dive into how to create this happiness, how to reach a state of flow, how to create a longer and happier life, which is what I wanted to know about. And honestly, as someone who does not like nonfiction, Ikigai was actually pretty good. But yes, if someone wanted to increase their life expectancy, who wanted to create a better quality of life, learning how to do that is important. And learning that, reaching that state of flow, that reaching this, you know, these small goals that we set for ourselves and taking time to just be present is some of the best advice you can take when it comes to learning how to do this. Thank you.